This is the real story behind those viral headlines claiming Elton John has finally broken his silence about Princess Diana. You've probably seen those articles circulating online, each one promising shocking new revelations and long-hidden confessions about their friendship. But here's what most people don't realize. Elton John has never been silent about Diana, not for a single year since her death. Everything currently being recycled as breaking news traces back to his 2019 autobiography, and the details he shared paint a picture of a friendship far more complicated and far more human than the sanitized version most people remember. What follows covers how a rock star and a princess became unlikely friends, how they had a bitter falling out over a coffee table book, how they reconciled just weeks before tragedy struck, and how together they created one of the most watched moments in television history. Their friendship started at a party that sounds like something out of a comedy sketch. Prince Andrew's 21st birthday celebration at Windsor Castle in 1981 brought them together, and Elton had been hired to perform alongside percussionist Ray Cooper. Diana attended as well, newly engaged to Prince Charles and not yet carrying the title of princess. When Elton arrived, the disco situation bordered on absurd, since the Queen had ordered the music turned down to an almost inaudible volume. His first dances of the evening became awkward shuffles with Princess Anne and Queen Elizabeth II herself, all of them moving to a barely audible version of Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock. Diana walked in and changed everything. According to Elton, they immediately clicked, and the two of them ended up on the dance floor together, pretending to dance the Charleston while openly mocking how quiet the music was. For about 20 minutes, they danced alone together, hooting at the disco's feebleness. That night established the foundation of their friendship, and Elton was struck by what he called Diana's incredible social ease, her ability to make people feel totally comfortable in her company. She wasn't stiff or formal, and she clearly knew how to have fun. Throughout the 1980s, their paths crossed regularly in the overlapping worlds of celebrity and royalty. July 13, 1985 brought them both to the Live Aid concert at Wembley Stadium, where photographers captured them backstage with George Michael. Elton attended Prince Andrew's wedding the following year with his then-wife Renate. April 9, 1987 marked the moment Diana did something that would cement her place in history and deepen her connection with Elton John. That day she opened the UK's first HIV/AIDS unit at Middlesex Hospital, and in an era when fear and stigma surrounded the disease, when people genuinely believed casual contact could spread it, Diana shook hands with AIDS patients without wearing gloves. A single gesture changed public perception. Elton would later put it this way: "One simple handshake, one gesture showed the world the desperate need for humanity for people living with AIDS." For Elton, who had founded the Elton John AIDS Foundation in 1992, Diana's courage struck a personal chord. AIDS had devastated his community, claiming friends and colleagues, and here was a member of the royal family treating people with the disease as human beings worthy of compassion rather than pariahs to be feared. Their friendship deepened through the early 1990s, with Diana hosting private lunches at Kensington Palace, and at one of these gatherings she introduced Elton to the fashion designer Gianni Versace. Another lunch brought Elton face-to-face with a young Prince Harry for the first time. Elton's descriptions of Diana in his autobiography reveal a woman quite different from the saintly figure some have constructed. His words were blunt: fabulous company, the best dinner party guest, incredibly indiscreet, a real gossip. You could ask her anything, he wrote, and she'd tell you. One dinner party at Elton's home became legendary for reasons Diana probably never intended. This gathering took place during the production of The Lion King in the early 1990s, and the guest list included both Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. According to Elton, both men developed an interest in Diana, and the tension between them escalated as the evening progressed. By the time the night wound down, they were on the verge of a physical altercation, which forced Elton to step in. Elton later coined the term Diana effect to describe the impact she had on men, and he found the whole situation absurd. Two major Hollywood stars nearly coming to blows over a princess at his dinner party. Sylvester Stallone has publicly disputed this account, calling it a complete fabrication on Instagram. What actually happened that night remains contested, But the story itself reveals how Elton viewed Diana, as someone so magnetic that otherwise rational men lost their composure around her. The friendship that seemed unshakable nearly ended in early 1997, and a coffee table book brought everything crashing down. Gianni Versace had created a book called Rock and Royalty, featuring photographs of the royal family, including Diana, William, and Harry. Proceeds from sales were meant to benefit the Elton John AIDS Foundation, and Diana had agreed to write the foreword. Here's where everything fell apart. The book also featured photographs of semi-nude male models alongside the royal images. When Diana saw the final product, she withdrew her support and claimed she had no idea of the book's contents. Elton didn't buy it. He wrote that Gianni had shown her the entire book and that she had said she loved it. Feeling betrayed, Elton sent Diana a letter calling her out and detailing how much money she had cost the AIDS Foundation. Diana's response arrived formal and cold, opening with the words, "Dear Mr. John." That salutation must have stung for someone who had called her a friend, who had danced the Charleston with her at Windsor Castle, who had hosted her at his home. Journalist Tina Brown described this period as a deep freeze between them. Roughly 5 or 6 months passed without a word between them. Given everything that was about to happen, those months of silence would take on a terrible weight. July 15, 1997 brought their reconciliation, and it arrived on the same day Gianni Versace was murdered outside his Miami Beach mansion by Andrew Cunanan. Elton was devastated. Versace had been one of his closest friends, and now he was gone in the most violent, senseless way imaginable. That evening, while Elton sat at his holiday home in Nice, France, the phone rang. Diana was on the line. "I'm so sorry," she told him. "It was a silly falling out. Let's be friends." Elton later noted that he didn't even know how she had gotten his phone number, but that call meant everything. In the midst of his grief over Versace, Diana had reached out to mend what was broken between them. July 22nd brought them both to Versace's funeral at Milan Cathedral. Diana, Elton, George Michael, Sting, and Donatella Versace were all photographed together, and one image from that day became famous. Diana appearing to console a weeping Elton, her hand on his arm, her face full of compassion. Years later, Elton revealed the truth about that photograph. Those warm words of comfort she appeared to be offering weren't words of comfort at all. According to Elton, what Diana actually said at that moment was, "God, I'd love a polo." She was reaching for a mint that David Furnish, Elton's partner, had offered her. The image everyone interpreted as a moment of profound emotional support captured Diana asking for candy. Elton found this hilarious, and it perfectly captured who Diana really was, someone who could look like the picture of compassion while thinking about breath mints. After the funeral, Diana and Elton made plans together. She agreed to become a patron of the Elton John AIDS Foundation, and he agreed to support her landmine charity. A meeting in London was set to discuss the details. But there wasn't a next time, Elton later wrote. Her bodyguard Lee Sansom reported something that would later seem prophetic. The morning after Versace's murder, Diana asked him, "Do you think they'll do that to me?" 6 weeks after reconciling with Elton, on August 31, 1997, Diana, Princess of Wales, died in a car crash in Paris. She was 36 years old. When news of Diana's death reached Elton, grief overwhelmed him. Processing the loss privately wasn't an option, though, because within days someone asked him to do something extraordinary. Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin, contacted Elton with an unusual request. Mourners leaving flowers and messages at St. James's Palace had been quoting the lyrics to "Candle in the Wind," Elton's 1973 song about Marilyn Monroe. The Spencer family had given their blessing for Elton to rework the song as a tribute to Diana and perform it at her funeral. Elton agreed, and his longtime collaborator Bernie Taupin set to work rewriting the lyrics. "Goodbye Norma Jean" became "Goodbye England's Rose." 30 minutes was all it took Taupin to write the new lyrics. He wanted it to sound, as he put it, like a country singing it. Writing at that speed meant the words emerged almost unconsciously, and in his 2024 autobiography Scattershot, Taupin admitted something remarkable. "If you put a gun to my head right now and threatened to kill me if I didn't recite the lyric, I'd be a dead man. I don't remember a word of it. Recording happened at Townhouse Studios in West London immediately following the funeral on September 6, 1997. Sir George Martin, the legendary Beatles producer, oversaw the session. 2 takes captured the basic track, and a string quartet with woodwind musicians filled out the arrangement. That single became George Martin's final #1. His assessment: "It became my last #1, and probably my last single. It's not a bad one to go out on." September 6, 1997 brought Diana's funeral to Westminster Abbey, with approximately 2,000 people filling the church. Outside, over 1 million lined the streets of London, and around the world, an estimated 2.5 billion people watched on television. Guinness World Records certified it as the largest live broadcast audience in history. What most people don't know is that Buckingham Palace initially opposed Elton's performance. Documents released by the UK National Archives in December 2021 revealed the palace had called the idea too sentimental. Westminster Abbey was so uncertain the performance would happen that they hired a backup saxophonist to stand by. Dr. Wesley Carr, the Dean of Westminster, successfully advocated for Elton's participation, and so, with the eyes of the world upon him, Elton John sat down at the piano in Westminster Abbey. What went through his mind during those 4 minutes was simple. Don't sing a wrong note. Be stoic. Don't break down. His heart was beating quite heavily, he acknowledged. There was a sense in which it was the biggest gig of my life, he wrote. For 4 minutes, I was literally going to be the center of the world's attention. But equally, it wasn't an Elton John moment. It wasn't about me at all. Getting through the performance without breaking down took everything he had, though millions watching couldn't manage the same composure. Prince Harry later wrote in his memoir, Spare, that Elton's song was incredibly emotional, describing it as part of this whole trigger system, which nearly brought me to the point of crying in public, which I didn't do. The commercial response to Candle in the Wind 1997 broke every record the music industry had. On its first day of release in the UK, 658,000 copies sold, making it the fastest-selling single in British history. First week sales in the United States reached 3.5 million copies, shattering the previous record of 632,000. 6 copies per second. That's approximately how fast the song sold worldwide at its peak. Final numbers tell a staggering story. 33 million copies sold worldwide earned Guinness World Records certification as the best-selling physical single since charts began in the 1950s. Only Bing Crosby's White Christmas, with an estimated 50 million copies sold in the pre-charts era, has moved more units. American sales alone reached 11 million copies, earning Diamond certification, the first single ever to receive that honor. 14 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 set a record for a male solo artist. Canada kept the song at #1 for an astonishing 45 weeks. UK sales stand at 4.94 million copies, making it the best-selling single of all time in that country. Every penny of royalties went to charity. Elton donated all artist royalties, Bernie Taupin donated all composer royalties, and the record company donated all profits. Approximately £38 million flowed to the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund from the song alone, equivalent to somewhere between $47 and $62 million. Over its 15-year existence before closing on December 31, 2012, the Memorial Fund raised between £112 and £138 million, awarding 727 grants to 471 organizations. Elton made a decision about the tribute version of Candle in the Wind that he has honored ever since. He would never perform it publicly again. His statement left no room for interpretation. Unless I'm specifically asked by either her family or her children, I think it's time to put it to rest. Prince Harry asked him to perform it at the Concert for Diana in 2007, held on what would have been Diana's 46th birthday. Elton refused, telling Harry, as revealed in the memoir Spare, that performing the tribute would be macabre. Your song took its place at that concert. Glastonbury 2023 brought Elton's final UK performance, and he did perform Candle in the Wind, but it was the original 1973 version about Marilyn Monroe, not the Diana tribute. No Elton John compilation album has ever included the 1997 version. Only the original Marilyn Monroe version appears on his greatest hits collections. The tribute exists as a singular artifact, performed once, recorded once, and then retired. Now we come to those clickbait headlines, the ones claiming Elton has broken his silence or confessed the truth about Princess Diana. Extensive research turns up no evidence of any recent interview, statement, or revelation from Elton John about Diana. No new confessions exist. No silence has been broken. Everything circulating online traces back to a single source, his October 2019 autobiography, Me. That book is now more than 5 years old. Stories about dancing the Charleston, about the Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone incident, about the Versace book falling out, about the Polo Mint photograph, all of it appeared in print in 2019. Outlets recycle these stories, particularly around the anniversary of Diana's death on August 31st, slapping on sensationalized headlines designed to make old information seem new. Annual tributes to Diana do appear on Elton's social media. On the 25th anniversary of her death in August 2022, he shared a photograph with the caption, "You will always be missed." The 20th anniversary in 2017 brought this message. 20 years ago today, the world lost an angel. None of that qualifies as breaking his silence. Those posts capture a man remembering a friend he lost. Most tellingly, Elton's 2024 documentary Never Too Late, which premiered on Disney Plus on December 13, 2024, doesn't mention Princess Diana at all. Multiple reviewers noted this omission, with one writing, "No mention of Princess Diana, with whom he was great friends and who inspired him to re-record Candle in the Wind." Early career struggles, addiction battles, and family life with husband David Furnish and their sons fill the documentary instead. Diana, despite being one of the most significant figures in his public life, simply isn't part of the story the film chooses to tell. Elton John turned 77 in 2024, and his health has become a matter of public concern. July 2024 brought a severe eye infection while he was vacationing in the south of France, and by September he announced on Instagram that he had lost sight in his right eye. Limited vision remains in his left eye. December 2024 brought a candid assessment of his condition. "I can't see anything. I can't read anything. I can't watch anything." By April 2025, struggle continued. "It's distressing. You get emotional, but you have to get used to it." Health challenges extend far beyond his eyesight. Hip replacement surgery followed a fall in 2021, and another slip at his villa in France in August 2023 required brief hospitalization. Prostate cancer surgery complications in 2017 brought a near-death experience. A pacemaker has been keeping his heart steady since 1999. October 2024 brought this inventory of what's left. "I don't have tonsils, adenoids, or an appendix. I don't have a prostate. I don't have a right hip or a left knee or a right knee. In fact, the only thing left to me is my left hip." These health struggles explain why Elton might not be giving extensive new interviews about any subject, including Diana. Medical challenges dominate what should be his retirement years. What remains, beyond the clickbait and the sensationalized headlines, is a genuine friendship between two people who existed in the strange territory where celebrity and royalty overlap. An absurd disco where the Queen had turned down the music brought them together. Shared ability to mock the pretensions around them bonded them. Charitable work created common ground. Gossip and laughter and attendance at each other's events filled 16 years. A bitter falling out over a book silenced them for months, and they might never have reconciled if a mutual friend hadn't been murdered. Reconciliation arrived just in time. 6 weeks later, Diana was dead, and Elton carried her memory forward in the most public way imaginable, performing for 2.5 billion people at her funeral, creating the best-selling single of the modern era, and then putting that song away forever. Annual tributes keep her memory alive. Continued friendship with her sons carries her forward. May 19, 2018 brought a performance at Prince Harry's wedding reception at Windsor Castle, where Elton sang Your Song, Tiny Dancer, Circle of Life, and I'm Still Standing. Kensington Palace explained the choice was made in recognition of the close connection he has with Prince Harry and his family. Elton has publicly defended Harry over the years, citing what he called a profound sense of obligation to protect Harry and his family from the unnecessary press intrusion that contributed to Diana's untimely death. That statement contains more genuine feeling about Diana than any clickbait headline ever could. The Elton John AIDS Foundation, which Diana agreed to support before she died, has raised over $650 million since its founding. Matching grants pushed that figure beyond $1 billion. Diana's simple handshake in 1987 launched work that has continued for nearly 4 decades. Touring has ended for Elton now, his eyesight failing, his body held together by replacement parts and medical interventions. The documentary about his life doesn't mention Diana, but her absence from that film doesn't erase her presence in his story. Dancing the Charleston with her when she was 20 years old and newly engaged started everything. Watching her become the most famous woman in the world followed. Fighting with her, reconciling with her, losing her, and honoring her in front of more people than have ever watched anything completed the arc. The truth about Elton John and Princess Diana isn't hidden and doesn't require confession after years of silence. It's been there all along, written down in a 2019 autobiography, captured in photographs from Live Aid and Versace's funeral and a disco at Windsor Castle, preserved in the audio of a song performed once and then never again. Headlines promising new revelations are selling you old stories, repackaged for clicks. The real story surpasses any manufactured headline. 2 people who genuinely liked each other, who made each other laugh, who fell out and made up, and who ran out of time far too soon. Elton John has never broken his silence about Diana because he never stopped talking about her. Nothing new remains to say because he said everything that mattered years ago. The song he wrote for her, the one that sold 33 million copies in a matter of weeks, sits retired somewhere, performed once for a global audience and then put away. That restraint, that refusal to capitalize on tragedy, says more about his feelings for Diana than any headline ever could.